was going to, when I went to when I spoke at the first non-dual science and non-duality conference, I was the only person there talking about the importance of the individual.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that was like.
The only one.
You were like a heretic.
Oh, totally. I just, the view was, I think, Tim Freke, he just doesn't get it.
Exactly.
He just doesn't get it.
He's
talking about the same thing,
enough.
but he's too attached to the self, and he hasn't really got it.
And I probably would have felt the same thing. Then.
Yeah. But the last few times I've been, actually, I think, interesting though, even when I spoke the first time, the very first time, which I arrived there kind of by accident really, and was given this lovely venue to speak in, my feeling was that the other teachers all thought, oh, yeah, he hasn't got a clue.
Right.
But the audience came with me. They really came with me.
They must have been so confused too.
They were like, I really like this.
Right.
I really like this. And so they were, I always felt at those conferences that the audience was far more awake than the teachers.
100%.
And the teachers were kind of wrapped up in something which they got stuck in. And the audience was like way ahead. But I think the teachers have caught up, some of them. Because when I see it now, many people have been through exactly the same transformation and the transition that I've been through, and you've been
exactly.
through. They're not. Some of them may be stuck and not moving anywhere, but lots of them are on a journey.
Yeah.
And so what seemed really clear and obvious then,
exactly,
hang on.
Which is natural.
And I know so many people who've been through it as a phase.
Right.
And as a phase, it's really quite healthy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if because I have the sense that it is changing and it is moving more towards the both and.
I think so.
But I'm curious if, in terms of, you talk a lot about temporal depth, which I love, and I don't have it as much as you because you're older than me. You have more passivity.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if the reason why that might be happening is because, when was it around when, let's say, Eastern wisdom was coming into the West in droves?
Well, again, it's coming bit by bit, but the big moments...
Like non-duality, let's say.
Well, Eastern stuff, I'd say primarily 50s and 60s, and then non-duality was much later, I think, 90s even.
Yeah. It seems like as the process matures in individuals, they start to they go completely individual, completely dual, to totally non-dual, to no individual, and then it seems later stage, depending how long for different people, they start to realize, wait a second.
Well, we were talking about, do you remember the other night when, at dinner, about the 10 bull journey? And that might be a good way of capturing this.
Yeah.
That you have this tradition in the Zen tradition, where originally it was 8 bulls, and it's all the Zen circles, those lovely circles they do, and with a little picture inside.
Yeah.
So no teaching, it's just a picture. But if you understand the picture, it's an initiatory journey.
Yeah.
And the initiation is of someone who's got the bull, but the bull's wild, and that's the self. So it's the animal self. You've pushed it. And this is where the idea that you need to tame your ego comes from. And it's a good idea.
Right.
We do it with all kids.
Need to.
It's like, don't just take everyone else's biscuits, or be nice to your sister, or it's like this is all about taming tell the truth.
Yeah.
And, think of other people,
right?
Not just yourself. Oh, you're so selfish. All these things you need to learn. If you learn them successfully, off you go. If you don't, you turn into a criminal, and it's really or a very difficult person.
Sure.
So the spiritual, and I think in history, I think people have stayed like that far more into adulthood than we do.
Yeah.
Because they were before us, and so there was much more down on the individual self in the animal self for good reason. You're driven by sexual desire and horrendous things that can happen from that. Once that's under control, that feels a bit repressive. But when it's not under control, it's like, hey, repress that.
Right. It's all about balance.
That's no bad thing to repress if it's leading to rape and violence. And hey, you just whoa. But once it's not, it's like, relax, it's okay. And so that's been our lifetimes. It's been like, stop being so uptight about it. It's okay now.
Yeah.
So the 8 bulls, the first bulls, was tame the bull, which is this instinctive self. So it goes from all these adventures, and eventually the guy's riding home on the bull. He's tamed the bull. It's the same thing you get in the Christian tradition, the Jewish mystical tradition. There it's a donkey.
Okay.
With the donkey in Egyptian is Set. It's the devil. It's like you tame the donkey.
Right.
They have donkeys, not bulls, obviously. And then the last, the 8th Zen thing is eventually you go through all these things and it's empty. There's nothing in it.
Right.
And that's the no self. It's like you've made the journey, you've tamed the self, you find the no self. And that is an ancient initiatory path which you find in Gnosticism and the ancient pagan mysteries are the ones I know the best. And I think you and I have both described going on that journey.
Yeah.
You first you wake up to spirituality. It's all about changing yourself. Then you wake up from the self. That feels like a waste of time and an illusion. And then you've seen this. And then at some point in the evolution of Buddhism, somebody added 2 more circles.
Clever person.
Yeah. And the last one is beautiful in particular because in the last one it's a guy coming back to the marketplace.
Right, down the mountain.
So he's come down the mountain, he's got his bottle of wine, he's not even a monk, he's got a bottle of wine, he's got a stick, and he's back in the marketplace, he's back in the world.
Right.
And that's that whole, in the Zen thing of, when you, before Zen, mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers.
Yep.
And then in the Zen experience, mountains aren't mountains and rivers aren't rivers.
Yep.
And then after the Zen, mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers.
Exactly.
And it's that coming back. And what I see in the initiatory process as it evolved was that addition. Mm-hmm. And so that you can see it happening in all the ones I mentioned. So that what we're really describing is, making this journey.
Right.
But because we have no new conscious initiatory path to follow, no one's there the whole time going, right now you're at this level.
Exactly.
Do that.
Exactly.
Jessica, right now I'd like you to concentrate on no self. We'll move on from that. But for a while, just spend some time meditating on what is that presence where and
exactly.
you're like, I'll do that. And then when you're ready, I'll tell you the next thing.
Right.
Because I'm older and wiser and all this.
Exactly.
We don't have that.
Right.
So you wander into this and
and you're taught that let's say intermediary phase is the destination, right?
Exactly.
And that's, I think, what I try to explain to people that have been through what I've been through is that the ego death is a phase of returning, coming down from the mountain with an expanded view to then live in the marketplace.
In the Christian mythology, the self dies on the cross.
Right.
And comes back in the flesh. In the flesh.
In the flesh.
That's a key idea there. It doesn't just ascend, it comes back in the flesh. So it's coming back in. So it does lead to a death, because that's
that's metamorphosis.
Yeah. I mean, personally, even now, if I had to invent a new tradition, I wouldn't symbolize it by a man being tortured to death.
Hopefully not.
It's like that's got that same kind of slightly dark.
Of course.
We've moved on from that thing.
Sure.
But nevertheless, in the Egyptian tradition, they would take donkeys up a tower and throw them into the ground. It's like that seemed like a good symbol.
Yeah.
It's like, no, let's leave the donkeys.
No animal sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to. Kill the bull. The whole Mithraism was you killed the bull.
Now we kill ourselves.
And then in Christianity, it became you kill your body. Yeah. And now we don't need to think in those images.
I agree. But the rebirth is what's missing, right?
But the rebirth is the resurrection. And the word resurrect is in the Greek, it also means wake up.
Yeah.
You come back. You're
Exactly.
reborn.
Exactly.
You come back to life.
And that's what I think your retreats do for a lot of people.
Actually,